In my case, I remember I was in America. And in America, I had gone for my annual checkup. And I had a little red Ford car in those days. And I was driving this little red Ford car. On the one hand, there was a Florida coastline, like turquoise blue, pristine waters against white shelly sand. And there was a phone flashed up from my medical doctor. And so I pulled over into a derelict building. And I picked up the phone. And my medical doctor, she said to me, "You need to come in. You need to come in immediately. You need to have chemotherapy. And you need to have surgery." You see, I have a PhD in cancer research. I've touched the cells on a petri dish. I don't expect the phone call one day. I've heard of other people, not me. And I did something very radical on that day. I ignored my scientific, logical mind. And I said to her, "No, I'm not coming in." And she said, "Fine, we will take away your medical insurance then, because you have denied treatment, so you no longer can avail of any treatment for yourself." And I felt to myself, wow, you're down? Just kick the person a little further just to make sure they're down enough. And I said, okay, what else could I say? And I left Florida and I came back to England. I was still working for the company. I was working for a medical equipment company. And I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my mother. I didn't tell my father. They were the closest people to me at the time. Because I felt like there was a time bomb ticking inside of me. And the irony is I have written a clinical paper in the Cancer Research Journal of the exact tumor cells that ended up in my body as well. And that was God laughing at me, I feel. And one day my mother bought a book called The Journey. And it had this woman on the front with a very white face and yellowing hair. And she had this book staring at me on the bed. And I said, "What's all this bullshit, Ma? Why have you bought this bullshit?" And I threw it on the ground. I said, "Take this voodoo stuff out of my house now." And I shouted at her. I'm not proud of it. It's because I was angry on the inside. And that book pushed a button in me. And I erupted all over her. And my mother, being the greatest teacher of unconditional love, she picked up the book, she dusted it off, and she put it in her bag. She never said a word to me. She just looked at me with love, like she just accepted me wholeheartedly. It was a month later that I ended up back in India from England, because the most precious person in my life had passed over. And this person had stayed with me in my home in England a month prior, and I got that home especially for him, because he was suffering from arthritis. And so I got a home with a lift and, where he would be comfortable. And the month he stayed with me was also very curious, because in that month, we both shared with each other how we felt about each other, where I said to him, "Baba, that time, you punished me because I didn't get good grades in my school. It really hurt me." And then he said to me, so my pet name is Deepa, okay, which my dad, I'm speaking to my dad, and Dad said, "Deepa, when you left after sunset for a party without telling me, it really hurt me, because you're my little girl and I was scared that something was going to happen to you." And then I shared some more, and Dad shared some more, and I shared some more, and Dad shared some more, and kind of the month passed. And as we got towards the end of the month, we had nothing else to share. And so instead I said, "Baba, I love you because. And he would say, Deepa, I love you because. And it's the only conversation we ever had. And then one day he said to me, Deepa, I need to go home to your mother. That's my home. And the place that they lived in is probably the size of less than half the stage. Probably the size of my bathroom in London. And he said, that's my home. I want to go home to your mother. I want to be with her. And so I took him to Heathrow Airport. He was a tall man, and I tiptoed up and I said, goodbye. And he left. And then it was a month later I got the call. Baba's in hospital. You need to come. The journey you never really want to make. That day was my day. And I didn't even have a visa in my passport at the time. And I remember going to the High Commissioner's office, and he came down in his pajamas on a Saturday. And he got me an emergency visa to come to India. And I landed first actually in Mumbai, by the way. I got a Air India flight. And I just broke the piggy bank, and I took up all the scrunched up pounds I could find and went to the Air India desk, and I said, one way to India. Anywhere, just get me home now. And I landed in Mumbai, and I had 2 missed calls on my phone. One from my mother and one from my sister. I called my mother. She didn't pick up. I called my sister. You know the news. It was 10 p.m. I missed him by an hour. And the only thought I had was, did he know I loved him? That's what I wanted to know. And I found myself on the tarmac on a foggy December morning, waiting to take the flight to Bangalore, because they lived northwest of Bangalore in Andhra Pradesh. So I got the flight and I went, and they had dressed him, washed him and dressed him, and he was there on the ground. And I looked at him, and he looked like my dad. Familiar eyes, familiar no hair, familiar shoulders. And there was a fly around his eye, and I moved the fly away, and I put his tongue back in, because the body was no longer housed by spirit. And I knelt down, because I used to love to massage his back, and I felt the fat on his back that I was so familiar with. And yet there was nobody home. And I had my first, most profound realization in my life. You see, I'd read it in the ancient text many times, but it meant nothing. And I realized in that moment, I am not the body. This body is not who I am. This that I am is infinite. It's everywhere and nowhere. I love my father. And the irony is, in his passing was actually the greatest miracle of my life. It was only in his passing that I had enough humility to pick up that book that I threw on the ground, which my mom had put on the shelf in our home. And I picked up that book after he died, and I read it cover to cover. And I knew in the book was stored the healing process. The challenge I had, though, is from the book, I couldn't do it on myself. I tried to. I couldn't get it to work. And so I phoned up the Brandon, her name is Brandon Bays. I phoned up her office, and I was due to be back in London, and she was due to give a seminar in South Kensington. And I booked myself on it straight away. And I went and I did the process. On day one, I did the emotional day, where I opened up, because according to Deepak Chopra, there's 3 things that prevent illness being healed. The first is our bottled up emotions that get repressed on the inside, and particularly in a culture like this, we're not conditioned to freely express our emotions, the truth of the emotions, of how, we're really feeling on the inside. And so he says this unbottling of emotions, and there's much more clinical evidence than that now, where bottled up emotions can lead to immune disease, reproductive failure, heart disease. And so the first is to really open up the repressed emotions without a story. It doesn't need a story. It's just, and it can be any emotion. It can be anger, can be fear, can be guilt, can be hurt, can be sadness, can be grief, any emotion where they just get let out. And then the second step to healing is to open up to our own inner healing ability, which in Brandon's case she called source, which is inside, outside. So source is more of a neutral name. Some people call this God. Some people call this light. Some people call this energy. Some people call this Atma, the Shakti, So where you open up to your innate ability within yourself. See, we all have this within us, but what prevents it from coming out is the day-to-day fog that just clutters everything up. And so with the journey, you just unpeel. You unpeel. You unpeel. You unpeel. You unpeel. Till you're just left open, innocent, not knowing anything. And so when I opened into my repressed emotions, I experienced a love that was infinite, that was inside, outside, upstairs, downstairs, everywhere. And then the third component of healing is to change our past memories. And in the journey I used a process known as change memory, to change them. Now, with the abnormal cells, I healed in one process. I'm an example of spontaneous healing. In one process, the abnormal cells came out of my body. And I just got my test done a month and a half ago. I'm clear now for 10 years. I also had something known as PCOS, polycystic ovarian disease or syndrome. That took me 2 years to change, because there were many different issues associated with issues of identity. Who am I? What am I? Can I accept myself? Can I not accept myself? When those issues cleared, the PCOS also reversed. So go ahead, take a breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. So I want you to get comfortable now. And the reason I want you to get comfortable is I'm going to do a little meditation that I learned in the journey. I'm going to share it with you now. And for this meditation, what I'm going to recommend is, if you have someone in your life that could do with some healing, invite them here now. If you could do with some healing, invite yourself here now. If there's a situation that you would like to heal, invite that situation here now. So go ahead, breathe in through your nose. And before you do that, just take a sip of water as well. And just let it out. Breathing in again. And this time I want you to really sigh it out. There's a process known as sighing. There's seminars run in France where you just come together and just go, ah. I want you to make the sound, by the way, okay? Do it with me again. Ah. Do it again. Ah. And again. Ah. Beautiful. Closing the eyes. And as you close the eyes, I want to invite you to open the heart as wide as the world, wide enough to include all of life, all of creation. Sky like above, and ocean like below. And just allow yourself to relax your toes, relax your ankles, relax your legs, relax your knees, relax your thighs, relax your groin, relax your belly, relax your chest, relax the neck, relax the whole face, the whole body relax now. And open the heart even wider, as wide as the world. And I want you to notice a light in your heart. knowing in the light of love we are healed. In the light of love we are whole. And I really want you to notice how in the light that there's healing there. And now bring into this room anyone and everyone that may need healing, including yourself. Bring them in this room, knowing in the light of love we're healed. In the light of love we are whole. And keep noticing yourself being bathed in a light of love, knowing you are whole. In the light of love, we are healed. In the light of love, we are whole. Knowing thy will be done. And just keep breathing in and out. And let yourself relax even more. Even more. Even deeper within yourself, within the highest part of you. More and more relaxed. And notice the body just healing of its own accord. Notice the mind healing of its own accord. Notice the being falling into peace. Allowing the mind to wind down. Becoming more and more still. Just this moment. Just this moment. Breathing in and letting it out. And breathing in again. and noticing a golden shower from above, showering right through you, leaving in its wake an infinite peace, leaving in its wake a never-ending and all-pervading stillness. No thought of past, no thought of future. Just this moment, this millisecond, just this moment. And as you breathe in again, letting it out, we're going to go into an open-eyed meditation. Allow the eyes to open and notice this remains. Just allow the eyes to open. And remain still in this. And if the eyes haven't opened, just allow them to open now. Just breathe in and out. And breathing in again and out. Now, I'm doing a program known as the journey. So this is the process I use to heal illness in my body. This is for anyone. You don't need anything prior to come on this training. You can come on it for a couple of different reasons. One is you just want to learn about healing anything, healing life, healing money, healing relationship, healing an illness, for example. You can come on this program because you want to connect more spiritually. It has much more of a spiritual bent, the journey, than the other programs that I teach, okay? So day one, I teach the emotional journey, which is how do you open up to your emotions and uncover the healing potential within. Day two, I teach the physical journey, which is what the journey is famous for. It's taught in schools, hospitals, universities, corporates. In Holland, the journey is the #1 process for corporate burnout. In South Africa, the journey is used with kids, with teenagers, for example, that have shut down or haven't. There was a study done on 3,000 kids in South Africa. They received a 30-minute journey healing process as part of a classroom exercise. What they found was their grades improved from an average of 63% to 91%. And the South African government then introduced it as part of the curriculum in schools. Okay? So I teach that process on day 2. Then day 3 of the journey, I teach more advanced skills. And my prayer is if we're meant to meet again, may we meet again and again and again. And until we do, my prayer is that may all of life and all of peace and all things nice be with you forever.